The internet president is Donald Trump, who hosts the social media summit at the White House. I had the honor of being invited to it, and you walk into the foyer of the White House. I mean, famous. It's been in all Hollywood movies. It's, you know, from the time of Lincoln, and there are huge memes printed out on boards hanging in the grand foyer of the White House, Dave. Like, this is the world I've been begging for my entire career. You walk around, you look, there's a meme, and there's a Game of Thrones meme, and they're all there, like hanging inside of the most sacred house in America. People will gravitate towards something authentic more than ever today, and it's because we've been trained to do this based on what we like on social media, the authenticity that we see into people's lives, and we now have access into everyone's life. People can figure out what Dave Rubin likes. People can follow you on social media and see the things about
see what I hate.
Yeah, and see what you love and what you hate, and they can tell if you're an authentic person. And we are now demanding that inside of our politicians, and like it or not, that's part of the reason why people just adore the President of the United States right now, is because there's no lying with him. You're going to hear his unvarnished opinions, regardless of whether you love them or not. You're going to see directly inside of his brain and what's going on, and you're going to find that out through his social media and through Twitter. And that's what endears so many Americans to that. We've been trained to want that.
All right, so how the hell does Trump understand all this stuff? I have asked a million guests this. Everyone has their own theory. But how does Trump get the meme wars, the edgelords, the trolls, the Russians, the whole damn thing? How does Trump get it? I think you have a little insight maybe into what he's thinking, or you've been around him enough and the turning point world.
Trump has always been a creature of the media. He's always very much understood media. And every era that he's lived in, from the 70s, 80s, 90s to today, he's understood media and how people consume information. Where is the audience? And he's always understood audience. Now, you have to ask yourself, if you're talking about the modern media landscape, what is a media company? A media company is where the audience is. And Trump has very elegantly navigated to the place where the audience is every single iteration of his career. And it's been very, very special to watch how the guy at 70 years old has just mastered the meme wars and just mastered the art of social media. And a new generation of kids, that's where they are. That's where they're getting their information.
Do you think the world was just waiting for someone like him? Like, it didn't actually have to be him, but that because of everything you're talking about and the way that things have changed, and we've watched mainstream media crumble and the internet rise and all that, that it was gonna be somebody to do this reckoning, and he just happened to be the guy? Or do you think that that really is unique about him, the way the lens that he views the world because of the way he survived media over decades and all that?
Yeah, I think we're living in the golden age of memes and politics, and Trump has brought that about. And the world was waiting for someone to create the dyad in the Force that was the president.
I'm going to see how many more Star Wars references you can force in here. We'll see.
Force in here. I love what you just did there, Dave. The world was waiting for the internet president, right? The president who fully understood the internet and brought it with him to the White House. And Barack Obama bringing in YouTube celebrities, that's one thing. But Barack Obama was not the internet president. Not at all. The internet president is Donald Trump, who hosts the social media summit at the White House. I had the honor of being invited to it, and you walk into the foyer of the White House. I mean, famous. It's been in all Hollywood movies. It's, you know, from the time of Lincoln, and there are huge memes printed out on boards hanging in the grand foyer of the White House, Dave. Like, this is the world I've been begging for my entire career. You walk around, you look, there's a meme, and there's a Game of Thrones meme, and they're all there, like hanging inside of the most sacred house in America, right? The most cherished and valuable piece of real estate in the country is the White House. One of the most recognizable places on planet Earth is the White House, and here are memes hanging inside of the grand foyer of the White House.
Yeah.
This is actually the internet president. I think it's really fundamental that Trump gets audience. He understands where an audience is. And right now, today, there has been a dynamic shift in where people actually are, and where people are platforms, and where they want to get their information are platforms and from influencers. And Trump is the biggest influencer out there.
So the last time that we actually saw each other in person was at the Turning Point Student Action Summit about a week before Christmas, a couple days before Christmas. I spoke that morning. You were sort of the MC of the whole thing, right? You're shooting T-shirts into the crowd and you're getting everybody going. But you didn't warm up the crowd for me that morning. Well, I don't know what you were doing that Saturday morning. I wasn't going to bring this up. I don't know what happened. I did okay. That's not even the point. I did just fine. The point is that I spoke in the morning, and then Trump spoke later in the afternoon, and then when he spoke, it was the first time that I ever heard him speak live, and it did help crystallize one thing for me, which is how the media takes an hour and a half speech that he gives and how they really extrapolate whatever they want out of it. Because there's a moment that I'm sure you remember where Trump gets up there and he goes, I know more about windmills than anybody. I've been studying windmills my whole life. And then he goes on this riff about windmills. Now, obviously, he doesn't know more about windmills than everybody. Obviously, he's not studying windmills. But he makes some interesting points about how they build windmills and all of this other stuff. But then I saw it happen. So he does the speech, and he's sort of basically like a comic, and he's working the room, and he kind of goes off script and then comes back. But then it was the next part, and this is where it all kind of crystallized for me, was then later that afternoon, what do I see? Of course, Vox, Media Matters, the rest of it, with all of their headlines. Donald Trump claims he knows more about windmills than anybody. Donald Trump claims he's studied windmills his whole life. And it's like, did he say that? He did. Is that in context? No. Do you understand sarcasm? No.
Yes.
And it's like, when you really see it that way, it did shift the whole thing for me, to actually be there and then see the headlines.
Yes. There is such a thing as sarcasm, humor still in the world. It's not literate. It's not literal.
Literal.
Right?
Often not literate.
Often not both, actually.
Yeah.
But a good meme is something that takes it, that is funny, that uses humor or uses pop culture to connote a greater truth about the world around us. And Donald Trump speaks in memes. That's what a lot of people I don't think understand.
Yeah.
Is that this era was actually made for him. When Donald Trump looks Hillary Clinton in the eye and goes, "'Cause you'd be in jail." That's like an impact font meme. That was a meme, right? Like that was one of the most memorable, maybe perhaps the most memorable, if you play it on a big screen to an audience, which I do regularly, the most memorable moment in 2016. And that was Trump just speaking in a meme. Short sentences, understandable dialogue, joke, right? Sarcasm, but hitting a deeper truth. And that's the way the president speaks. And the hyper-literal, perpetually wanting to be offended, corporate media that exists today, they don't get them, but at their peril. Because Trump is speaking the way that the internet speaks, and the way that consumers speak, and the way that the audiences of the future speak. And the audiences of the future want to get their information from memes. I give this speech around the country. Tens of thousands of students around the country I speak to every single year. And it's a huge privilege of mine to do that, but I ask them with regularity, where would you prefer to get your information? Raise your hand if you want to get your information from a meme. If you would prefer it in that form. And thousands of hands go, I'm telling you, Dave, thousands of hands go up from the students. I take a cell phone out of my pocket. I do this thought test all the time. Take a cell phone out of my pocket, put it on the table, and I say, this cell phone is yours. It's free. You can get it free of charge. One rule, coded in to the actual iPhone, brand new, is that you can only download one app to get your news and information from. What app do you download? I ask kids this, doesn't matter if it's 50 kids in a small room or 500 kids or 5,000 kids, it's always the same.
I'm guessing the answer is Twitter, right? Don't tell me it's TikTok, and I'm going to jump at. We don't have Windows in here, but I'm going to.
It's a mix. A lot of Instagrams. I would say probably 8 out of 10 is an Instagram.
That's interesting.
Again, these are school-aged kids.
Yeah.
These are school-aged kids. 8 out of 10 is an Instagram. You always have your outliers. We'll say Reddit. Maybe, very rarely, but Facebook. You get YouTube. A lot of YouTubes. And some Twitters. It kind of depends on the diet of the student.
Sure.
Here's something that never, ever, ever is said. Ever. MSNBC.
Yeah.
CNN.
Well, CNN, when I give a speech to college kids, CNN, sometimes I say something about CNN not to be funny. I'm like, well, CNN is one channel, and they laugh when I say CNN as if that's the punchline, because it's so absurd to them,
I don't think it's even partisan, Dave. They don't say Fox News either. They want to get their information from, and I'm just going to be complimentary here, you, from a decentralized, non-corporate influencer who is going to bring them the information that they trust you. They trust guys like me. They trust influencers. We are the new nightly news anchors. Our memes are our new news program, right? And the new broadcast network are these platforms that they can follow us on and see more of a dimensionality of us and the world around them. And that's how they prefer to get their information.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop yelling, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.